We are making fucking Lincoln now.
What?
The hill.
You're a hill.
I'm not a hill.
Hank Hill. Big.
Big.
Look at that frame drop. Good times.
Is it dropping frames?
A little bit.
I can't tell. From over here. I'm miles away and I can't see
Drop.
anything.
Drop the voice.
Is that your impression of Skrillex?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is it not yours?
No.
Oh.
I don't do one because I know I couldn't.
Bangarang. But
Please,
refrain.
never do that again. In a 500-foot radius of me.
God, this is the worst. So if you live down here, right, you're like, oh, great, I can meet my friend here. But if you want to go to a house here, you have to go all the way down here, up there, around there. I am a fucking genius.
I am a genius.
I cannot be stopped. My power is untold. Feed me.
Unlimited power.
Prepare to witness the firepower of a fully armed and operational battle station. The battle station.
There's someone at my work who's never watched Star Wars.
And
And we try and convince him. It's like, he's got Disney Plus, and it's like, oh, go on tonight, watch Star Wars #4. And he's like, why not episode 1? And it's like, no, well, so you gotta start with episode 4 because it was the one. And he's like, it sounds kind of complicated and nerdy. It's like, no, it's not. It's just 3 films, but just start with #4. And he's like, but why I want to start with #1? It's like, no, you don't.
you don't want.
You don't want to start with number. You want to start with #4. It will just trust me.
Trust us on that one.
So the encouragement hasn't been going well on getting him to watch Star Wars.
To be fair, for someone who's never heard or watched Star Wars, it is a little bit confusing that 4 is the first and 1 is the 4th.
Yeah, because I started when I was really young. My dad was like, "Do you want to watch them in chronological order or the order they came out?" I was like, "Well, chronological." So I started with episode 1, and I thought it was shit. And the first time I watched Star Wars, I thought that wasn't very good. And it wasn't until like years later when I went back and watched episode 4, I was like, "Hey, this is pretty fucking good."
Yeah. When I was younger, I can't recall which one I watched first, but I remember that I was so just like, yeah, that I didn't even notice that the prequels were bad. Like, it was like, I was like fucking 7, and like, it is such a fucking alien concept to me that at that age you were like aware of the quality of a movie. Because when I was 7 and I watched a movie, like whether it was good or not was whether I like literally shat myself watching it or not. This is why I don't like horror films.
No,
very
well,
much.
okay,
It's
so
because right, you know Mars Attacks is like a comedy movie about the alien invasion. That fucked me up as a kid. Like, the scene where the aliens come in and they like...
I don't actually know that film at all. I
They-
just feel I should put this
someone's
out
brain blows up in a jar or something at some point. And there's... I think it's like... The starting scene is like a... It's like not a scary movie, but it really fucked me up as a kid. And I was not okay with that. How the... My coal power plant cannot power this whole city. That is bullshit.
Well, no, so I was about 13, 14 at the time.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like young.
Right.
But
You didn't watch Star Wars until you were 13?
I know, right? My dad didn't show it to me until after the old divorcee. And it was in his old RAF mess room with like a tiny... You know that telly?
The one we have downstairs?
No.
JVC.
It was about that size. You will have seen it. The one the one next to my desk in my old childhood room. You will have seen it at some point. You've probably seen something on it. It was on like, well, it was about the size of the JVC telly downstairs. Like about that. It was smaller than the screens I use here, It's about the size of the Dale Monitor, so about 20 something inches,
no.
23 inches. Oh no, it's
It was the Garnet residence.
It was the Garnet. Well, it's
they're
fine.
all
Our top quality fire brigade has got in there.
Well, they sent 2 as well. Fucking hell.
I know. Look at that.
How the fucking shit? 2 children, 4 teens, 1 young adult, 5 adults, 2 seniors. 14 people living here.
I'm telling you, there's something weird going on.
There's only 7 in the Washington residence.
Only 7.
Well, it's a bigger fucking house. It's got 2 floors.
They're richer.
7 people.
We have a very big slums. This is the slums.
The entire city is the slums. With all due respect.
Big Lincoln energy.
I love how bad.
Yeah, that is the problem with doing roads like this. Is when you have to get coverage, you have to put one on every street because
I
they
don't
can't
really
get
know
anywhere.
why you need such fucking so many primary schools. It's like, will people not just take the fucking bus? Come on.
No, because they're young. Secondary schools are fine, and then colleges are mental ass.
It's like that is literally a street.
I mean,
that covers.
Are
Are you telling me that the person fucking here wouldn't send their kids to that school because it's too far away?
No, because they have to cross over the road.
Oh, woe
No,
is
it
me.
actually-
I have to walk with my
No,
children
no,
across this zebra crossing and fucking
They
40
don't-
foot down the road.
This is accurate to America. They don't actually walk anywhere. They drive.
Oh, God. I used to read the Wimpy Kid books.
Yeah.
A long time ago. And one of the Wimpy Kid books, they're talking about how the school, changed the layout of, their bus route.
Mm-hmm.
And so they made this huge deal about it, and they were, complaining about it. And, obviously, it was meant to be, a bit oh, God, they're complaining about such a minor change. But they were trying to make it out, I couldn't really fucking tell, but what blew my mind was they were they've moved it to be a whole quarter of a mile away from my house. And I think they might have been doing it as haha, that's not very far kind of deal. But when I first read that, I was like, fuck me, is that what Americans consider a long way?
Yeah. I mean, well, I was going to say, we live around student houses. And we live about 1.5 miles away from the uni.
Yes.
So, it's kind of accurate, because, how close did you live to your primary school?
About 2 miles.
Wait,
No,
really?
No, not. Wait, my primary school.
Primary school.
About 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah,
probably.
exactly.
Secondary school, I was 3 miles away, and I walked. My parents wouldn't give me a lift unless I was pissing it down.
Shocking.
Yes. I got wet quite a lot though, because if it wasn't proper rain, and then one day I got locked in an IT room. My IT teacher was just leaving, and I had a lot of stuff to pack away that day. Also, my leg was bleeding. Long story short, it was bleeding quite bad. I didn't go to the school nurse because it didn't hurt. I was like, whatever. Whatevs. But I didn't like the school nurse. But yeah, he was leaving the classroom, and I proper belted, I'm still in here! Yeah, he proper yelled.
He probably
He
didn't
just didn't
care.
hear.
He just wanted to go home.
And he just locks the door, and I go over to see if he's locked the door, and he has. And so at that point, when you're 11, what do you do at that point?
Yeah, well, you
Because
set
I
up
was
for the
just
night.
whoa, there's computers in here. I'll be happy. None of them would turn on. So I was like, oh wow, fuck this. So I just called my dad, and he drove down and yelled at some teachers until they let me out, which was quite a fun evening.
What you do is you wait for them to set the alarms, and then you just trigger them.
I look. When I was 11, I wasn't thinking about, oh yeah, the school has an alarm system.
Did you have the room at, motion sensors? Did everyone at your school say there were security cameras, or was that just because I went to a public school? Because at my school, the little motion sensing nipples?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't.
You'd always have the kid that was like, they're watching you on the cameras. It's like, that's not a camera, that's a motion sensor.
I don't remember that, but at the same time, I would have pointed that out. I was the kind of kid who would have just pointed that out because my parents had that downstairs. Remember?
Yeah.
They had a security system. So I would have just pointed that out like a dickhead.
Yeah, no, but they would have been like, they'd be like, no, you can't get your cock out. They're watching you on the security cameras. You could get your cock out all they want. They didn't have security cameras. They can afford it. It was a public school. Not your fancy grammar school.
They kept saying they couldn't afford anything. And then instead of building they had to build a new canteen block. And so instead of building it like on the top bit of the field, which we never fucking used, that was like, it had a nice path to it that was like unused because it was behind the cricket pavilion, which we had for some fucking reason. No one ever used it. Instead of using that path we had, they dug out this hill at the bottom of the field that everyone used to love rolling down, which is mainly why people were pissed off that they got rid of it. And it cost them like £2 million when it could have cost them like $500,000 to build this building. And it was shoddily constructed. It was like corrugated iron ceilings. It was awful. It genuinely looked like a prison in there. And to help that, they had a one-way system on the stairs. So you had to go in upstairs, down the stairs to the canteen, above it with a maths block, and then out the bottom. And if you didn't go the right way around it, you got an immediate hour-long detention. If you went the wrong way down the stairs. Like, what the fuck?
On the last day, some year 11s released chickens. That was a good day.
I remember I was in an RE lesson, religious education, for any of you living in North Korea who don't know what religion is.
RE, this is what gets me.
Well,
RE is just ethics.
Yeah.
But they don't call it, they always put Jesus in.
Yes.
It's just ethics and philosophy. Why don't they just rename it to ethics and philosophy?
Fuck you. But
why they gotta be Jesus?
we were in the middle of an RE lesson, and one of the people leaving that year came in and threw a frisbee at our teacher, and that was
Did it hit him?
hilarious. I don't think so, but it was hilarious.
I can imagine.
funny.
I would have found that very funny.
Very.
Our
very
last day
funny.
was shit. No one did anything. I think there was like one.
I
stink
remember,
bomb.
I don't understand why, but both in primary school and secondary, on the last day, it was like weirdly emotional for me, even though I fucking hated school, so bad. I don't know why it was emotional.
Both times. Sorry, a car just pulled up outside and blinded me. Both times I left school, it was I was leaving. No one was coming with me. So when I went from primary to secondary, and when I went from secondary to college, I always picked the unpopular option. And so I always just had to get new friends. It's really, that's why all my friends, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, all my friends are really categorized into when I knew that. I don't have a friend that I've known for ever, because I always lost all my friends.
Yeah, I didn't really stay friends with anyone at my primary school, to be fair. It's all from secondary school. And to be honest, I really expected all of my secondary school friends to stay on at my secondary school, because that was kind of the done thing to do at my secondary school, because it was this weird environment about it. It had this strange, oh yeah, the students from here just go to the sixth form. It was not considered by the teachers that anyone would want to go to a dedicated college.
Which is so much better than staying at your school, by the way.
And yeah, I was just I don't want to fucking do that. And so when my parents were by the way, you probably don't, but are there any college open days you want to go to? And I was yeah. And they're oh, there's barely any left. We just assumed that you wanted to stay on. I'm why the fuck would you think that? I hate this school. I do not want to stay on. And I had such a fucking better time at college. And everybody was oh, wow, this college is awful. And I was this is the best fucking thing I ever done. This is way done diddly better than my fucking secondary school. I love this place.
Well,
I
didn't like college. I think management or all college was shit. Me and Will went to the same college. We didn't go to the same secondary or primary school. We met in college. But I think the management at our college was really shit. But the people there were way better.
Yeah.
Is how I always look at it. Like, you didn't get bullied. I know there were no bullies in college because everyone was doing college things.
I think that's just like the nature of it.
Yeah, that's why. Because I mean, there's literally no bullies in university because you have to pay for it.
There were twats. You remember those people?
Yeah, there were twats, but there's not even twats
Like-
at uni. It's like the higher up education you go, the less. No, that's not true. After secondary school, the higher up education you go, the less bullies and twats there are. That's just how it works.
It's like when
What
we
are
had,
you doing with those pipes?
when
That is what? No! Don't cover up
No,
the map when
no,
I comment
no.
on it. What the fuck is that?
I'm talking. What was that?
It's a plane.
But you remember, like, we were talking to Jason, who hasn't appeared on this channel, but may at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we were talking to Jason, you remember? And there were
I
those
remember
people from my
this.
secondary school. And the conversation went as such. We said to Jason, wow, we haven't seen you in, like, a week. Like, with that pause. Because genuinely, we couldn't remember how long it had been since we'd seen Jason for whatever fucking reason, presumably ill or something. And they found that, like, so fucking weird. They were like trying to take the piss out of us for that, and we were just like, I don't understand what's funny.
I'm sorry. I've just spotted. Look at the traffic on that dirt road.
Yes.
Oh my god. Going through residential as well. Like you're like, oh, let me get this nice peaceful house. There's barely. It's on this nice back road. I wonder why it's so. Why is it so cheap? Like you go there on a weekend
Yeah.
to look at it, and then it's like you Monday morning of all the lorries outside.
It's like living anywhere in Euro Truck Simulator. Just every now and then a fucking truck just falls over on your lawn. It's not a